Holy hell, guys. I had to get up on the microphone to talk to you guys about crisis in this country. I just got off the plane from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, did Black Rifle Coffee's preparedness seminar, 120 people. Thank you for showing up, especially today's day and age where nobody wants to show up because we're lazy, complacent. Thank you for showing up. Also, big shout out to Gritter Sports. Got to train there in their indoor range, ran a pistol and carbine. Look, I had to talk to you because I was greatly impacted by a person who sent me a video, a YouTube video of a book review called The Fourth Turning. Now, what is The Fourth Turning? It's a book written by William Strauss and Neil Howe in 1997. It's called An American Prophecy, The Fourth Turning, What the Cycles of History Tell Us About America's Next Rendezvous with Destiny. Sounds a little woo-woo to me. I thought that same thing until I listened to it in its audio form and watched the book review on YouTube. So, one, let me put it out there. I am not a conspiracy theorist. It's not who I am. But I do understand the importance of conspiracies. Also, philosophy. Both of them are ways that we could provoke thoughts and ideas outside of convention to get a better understanding of what might have taken place. Are they all right? No. Most of them are wrong. But sometimes in just the exercise of talking through things like course of action development or brainstorming, you come up with a better understanding or solution. So this book lines out some of the mistakes that America has made throughout history. A historian's job is to study facts that have taken place in the past so we don't make those mistakes in the future. We as a country, we're not perfect. I won't bore you with my ideology based on that. But the bottom line is we got it wrong. The way that we're going in the direction we're headed downhill is wrong, mostly because we don't even understand as a nation, as the people of that nation, what we are. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic that's founded on individual liberties and freedoms, exercising those liberties and freedoms, and being all you could be, to quote the Army in the 80s. Be all you could be. You can't be all you could be when all the incentives that drive you as a human being are stagnated because the government wants to control everything. The institution wants to control everything. There's too many hands in the pot, if you know what I mean. So as a constitutional republic, where the benefits of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that you're born into as an American, the inherent rights you're born into, allow you to operate via a left and right limit. Call law and order the left and right limit. And then thrive based on that latitude. But instead, we want to be controlled. We stack ourselves on top of each other in metropolitan areas. That's not natural. Living in boxes, driving in boxes, doing everything in boxes, and don't understand why we're having the worst socioeconomic issues in the history of our nation. But wait, there's more. So I read this book and I start looking at the breakdown that this guy on YouTube did to better understand it. And here it is. Here's the gist of it. Every 80 years is a lifetime. It's 80 to 90 years. That's called, let's call it history blocks, quoting the YouTuber who did this. And I'll give him credit after the fact in the link below. You got 80 years, that's a history block. And then you have the turning. Each turning represents 20 years in its bracket. Ironically, that happens to be a turning of a generation every 20 years. That's how it happens. So if you have 80 years, you have 4 turnings, 4 different periods of time. Now, why is this important? Because throughout history, we have had major turnings. And every 80 years, or every history block, something impactful and significant has happened. The last history block started in 1946, right after World War II was on a high. The high includes from 1946 to 1964, rock and roll, the the space program, jets, Corvettes, Mustangs, the bikini, because we are on a high. Called that bracket of time, the 20 years, the high. We just came out of a World War II victory on a high. The next 20 years in a history block, follow me. There's 4 of these. The high is the first one. The next one is the awakening from 1964 to 1984. Bob Dylan, the Beatles, LSD, Woodstock, Star Wars, and computers. 20 years of an awakening, followed by unraveling. So we have high, awakening, unraveling. What happened in the 20-year period of the unraveling from 1984 to 2008? The Berlin Wall, Kurt Cobain, LA riots, OJ, 9/11, Gulf, Afghan wars. And the last 20 years, from 2008 to 2028, the period of time we're in now is known as the crisis. What do we have? The 2008 financial crisis, political divide, COVID-19, $40 billion to Ukraine, social discourse, a whole bunch of drama happening right now in our country because we're in the crisis mode. So follow me. High, coming out of World War II, 80 years ago, awakening, unraveling, and then crisis, a total of 80 years, a lifetime, 4 generations. Now, we are in the middle of the crisis. Now, here's what's unique. Those 80-year brackets post-World War II for us, because we're in that right now, we're in the 4th turning of this, the 4th turning being the crisis. Prior to that, 80 years prior to World War II, the Civil War. 80 years prior to the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. Each with its own bracket of following the same exact protocol of being on a high for 20 years, being in an awakening for 20 years, unraveling for 20, and then being in a crisis leading up to the crisis point, which in one case, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War, was the Civil War. From the Civil War to World War II was the World War. Why does this matter? Because we could track the generations and who they were. The way they outline it is you have the high. You got the boomer generation. The boomer generation were guys that were born from 1946 to 1964, and we had the prophets. Now, don't get weird on me. I get weird when I say the prophet. It's just a figure of speech. Because during that period of time when we were on a high after World War II, the boomers were guys who were redefining and innovating technology, advancing us to another level. Bill Gates, as noted by the YouTuber who talked about it, said Bill Gates predicted that everybody would have a computer. Oh, if you didn't see it, Bill Gates also predicted five years before COVID that we were going to have a pandemic. The next 20-year bracket is Gen X. That includes me, born from 1964 to 1984. Who's a Gen X? Me. I started Fieldcraft Survival. The idea was to generate a better understanding about preparedness so you could be prepared to prepare your family and your community, because we lacked that. So I took my military experience and started that. The title of that is Nomad. Elon Musk, a nomad. Bill Gates, a prophet. These aren't my words, guys. Elon Musk, a nomad. Somebody who's creating, I said creating just like Elon Musk. That was weird. Creating innovative technology that is integrating and changing the ways that we get from one point to another. The next 20 years, millennials, the hero generation from 1984 to 2008. A lot of young men and women who fought after 9/11, who fought in war. Parkland shooting, hospital workers during COVID-19. And then the last 20 years, Gen Z. Who are they going to be? Likely the artist, according to the authors. So these are the archetypes of our generation. So you got the end of the Revolutionary War leading up to the Civil War, where you have on the high a prophet, on the awakening a nomad, on the unraveling a hero, and the crisis an artist. So what does that all mean, guys? In one historical block with 4 historical generations, with people born of that generation in the same lifetime trying to unscrew this crisis, what are we going to do about it? Well, what's not guaranteed, according to the book, is that we will get out of this unscathed, that the crisis will lead to a tipping point, which universally will collide. And then on the other end of that, you will see the light that will be the high coming out of it. Whether it was out of the Civil War, whether it was out of the Revolutionary War, or whether it was out of the current situation that we're in now. How is this going to unfold? I don't know. Is it going to be like 1946? Is it going to be like the 50s when we came out of World War II with so much tragedy? And what does the actual crisis mean? Because we're in the window now. Here's what's crazy. These guys predicted this in 1997, and everything they predicted is in the 4th turning, and we are living it right now. They didn't know all this stuff was going to happen in 97. They just predicted that in the 4th turning, there was going to be catastrophe. There was going to be drama. When they wrote that book, I went in the Army and then served 20 years after that, both in the military and the government. I've been in my company right now for 5+ years. And what I've seen since I started my company in preparedness is this slow, I don't even know if it's slow, this quick acceleration over the last couple of years, especially after COVID, of a decline in our society. I think the origin story of this is us as people not being patriots of this country, not understanding and educating ourselves, no social sciences inside of schools teaching history, and then you have a country full of people who don't get it. They think socialism and communism is what we need to have in this country to benefit the citizens of it, forgetting the revolutionary, the civil, the world wars that this country fought for freedom. I wanted to put that out there because I felt compelled that this information is so important and so impactful, and I wanted to know your opinion. I'm not the expert on this. This is very new to me, but I understand human behavior. Generationally, in a cycle, primally, ancestrally, you could look at cycles of the hominoid and see how we acted and what we did. Now we have 3 generations, multiple generations, 3 history blocks of what this looks like. Are we doomed to repeat history? I don't know. Leave your feedback below. Subscribe, hit the notification tab. I appreciate you. I'm fired up about this. I'm probably going to lose sleep tonight. Thanks, guys. Fieldcraftsurvival.com. Mike Glover Actual. Thanks for everything you guys do to support us. Peace out.